So DDT just hit Vegas, and this card should have been great. As a longtime DDT fan, I wanted to love this show, and the setup was there. Takeshita was on the card, Suzuki defended his title, a WXW championship was on the line, even Yoshihiko was in a featured spot, and this was WrestleMania weekend. This show should have been great, but most of it just fell flat. Matches were rushed, segments didn't land, and it felt like the only people working at full throttle were the crowd, Takeshita, and Mao. The main event particularly nearly saved the whole night, but even that one exposed a deeper problem. Let's start right there. This was the one match that felt fully realized. It had time, rhythm, physicality, and the crowd was definitely into this. Mao hit a running front flip off the stage. Takeshita dropped him with a hook-style tombstone on the apron. Back and forth, high stakes, no dead space. This was a great match on a pretty flat show. And seeing as how this was the only great notable match here, it mostly exposed the gap between what could have been and what we got. Still, this was the best thing on the show by far. This gets 4 stars. Right behind it was Minoru Suzuki versus Yoshihiko. So when you hear about this match on paper, you guys already know what was going to happen. And guess what? This was enjoyable. And the crowd was into it. At one point, Yoshihiko took a bump onto a ring post and bled. And the crowd popped for that. It was hilarious. It was absurd, but it worked. And even though I have my criticisms about DDT, it's stuff like this where when things do work, it can be enjoyable to watch. This gets 3 3/4 stars. So the only other match that felt decent was the 6-man tag. Gringo Loco, Marcus Mathers, and Bateman versus Nick Wayne, Sumi, and Shuma. I pretty much thought the pacing was solid. The tags were clean. And a lot of guys, including people like Nick Wayne and Marcus Mathers, looked sharp here. The chemistry was tight. The crowd seemed into it, and the finish came at the right time. So this helped the flow of the show, but I can't say this was must see. This gets 3 3/4 stars. Then we got the WXW title match, one called Manders versus Yukio Nayo. So this had potential on paper, but it just never got there. I thought the lariat finish came in too quick, and it felt like they was just settling into gear. I just wish this had more time. So this really disappointed me. This gets 2.5 stars. The same deal with the 3-way tag match, Mizuki Watase and Shota versus Damnation TA versus Home Cooking. Now this was a mix of comedy and showcase stuff, and the match wasn't terrible. It just existed. It served its purpose, but that was it. This gets 2 stars. The opener was Starboy Charlie versus Uni. Really, to be honest, I thought this was a fine little match. Though there were some things that were a little bit shaky, but it didn't ruin my enjoyment. This was a fine opener. This gets 2.5 stars. And then we get to matches that felt like filler, or worse. Timothy Thatcher versus Aoki. I was expecting a grappling clinic. Shame on me. This wasn't much of anything. This gets 1 star. Antonio Honda versus Santana Jackson. This was pretty much what you expect. A comedy match that went really nowhere. Moonwalk DDT, Honda being Honda, the crowd chuckling, that's it. This gets 1 star. So what does that leave us with? A show that had flashes of what DDT is known for, which is wild creativity, proper violence, irrelevant chaos at times, but it only showed up in 2 matches. The rest of the card, rushed, uneven, and pretty forgettable. Takeshita and Mao carried the show. Even both of those guys can only take it so far. This gets a 6.75 out of 10. Not recommended. So let me know in the comments, did you think DDT delivered here? Or did it feel like a show just going through the motions? If you enjoyed this review, go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe, and share this video out with your friends. And for that, I'll see y'all later.